let's continue with my lightning talk, which is called compilation persistence, right? So that's something I've been thinking about. It's a ton of stuff which is going on with C++ language at the moment, but this is something which we don't have actually. Compile time programming is running in a sandbox, right? And in that sandbox, you know nothing about your previous builds and nothing about your future builds and anything like that. You can write some stuff out which goes into different sandbox, like in your runtime or something. But basically, you're running in a sandbox, and compilation compile time is like just what it is. And so you don't know stuff like how often has this code been built previously. You don't have a compilation counter. You can't react on prior builds, and you can't save an expensive compilation which you have done in this building now for the next builds, right? So if you have a complex or expensive compilation, you will have to do it again the next time. And actually, there's an experiment on Compiler Explorer that got me thinking, which is a bit different. Because I was thinking, like, can I have a program that runs only once, or just that compiles only once? And for that, an compilation counter would be helpful, right? Compile once, do something, and compile for everything else, do something else. And so I wondered if I could achieve that when I delete the source file. And that actually works on Compiler Explorer, which is the other thing I wondered, like, would I be able to test this on Compiler Explorer? Because this is a virtual environment, and maybe they have some safeguards and that I don't delete the source file, which is basically also the source file they're showing. And so this kind of works, but it also doesn't make Compiler Explorer be kind of in an unstate. So you can delete the example CPP, but there's the cache of the actual source code, which again gets written. So you can modify this and run it multiple times. And yes, you can go the next step is because, of course, you want to also remove the executable, right? So, and for that, we just need to extend this a little bit, and then we basically have achieved that we have a program which is able to compile once and run once. And as long as you directly run it after compilation, it'll be gone. And still, of course, this is a bit radical and probably will not help you with your problems tomorrow. But actual persistence is possible when we end runtime. We kind of have proof with that, right? And you could then just generate your data, whatever you want to do, and post it into whatever type or thing you want to do. We've had a constant expression JSON parser. That's basically what the whole constant expression programming thing started with. That we had like a talk presenting that we could do that in C++11. And so that's kind of an approach which would be doable to write out your own header file and then include that in your build. So now you actually could build a counter, but when you want to prevent like multiple executions of your program, as we saw, that's possible also. But also, I kind of think that doing this with a code generator is a bit of cheating, and you outsource your persistence to the runtime, and so on, right? But it's a step, and maybe it's a bridge too far. So at the moment, C++ does not offer ways to interact with the build system from your code, or to interact with a compiler, like instruct the compiler to cache a certain value. So we do not have like a compiler cache where we could say, here, this is what we want to cache from our code. Compilers and other tools by themselves do that, but that's out of our control when we write code. We can probably, instruct CMake to do something, but not from our code. And so for the moment, that's more of a what-if thing and more philosophically thinking about this. And thanks everyone.